We're at the home of world-famous treasure hunter Floyd Mann, and again, he's going to share another story with us. And so I just want to thank you right now, Floyd, for being willing to share some of your stories with us. So I know other people, I like to hear them, and I'm sure other people like to too. So anyways, thank you.
No problem. I appreciate when people want to hear my stories because, man, I put so much money and effort into them. I hate to keep them to myself. And if it's something that I'm not going to go back and recover, I'll put the information out there and maybe I can help somebody else. And when they go make the big discovery, they'll remember Floyd gave me the clue that got me rich.
There you go.
They'll flip me a dime or something. So
there you go.
The story today I think you might enjoy is about the Baxter Well. The Baxter Well is actually in Oklahoma. But a few years back, me and 30 other people, treasure hunters, I organized a group treasure hunt and gathered people from all across the United States and said, let's meet in Baxter Springs, Kansas. We'll take over the Super 8, rent all their rooms. I got a treasure story I think you're all going to like. And, of course, they all wanted to know what it was before they spent money coming from New York or California or whatever. So I gave them the general idea of the story. And they were all psyched up, and they all showed up.
So is this just anybody, or are these you had specific people that had specific talents, equipment, and all that?
It was invitation only.
Okay.
People that I had read about, actually people I had knew about. Some of them I had actually even met in other hunts in other states. So no, it wasn't open to the public. It was pretty much hush-hush, and nobody could bring any friends that I did not approve. Of course, all these people, they had to sign my confidentiality agreement about not divulging what we were working on before, during, or even after the hunt. Actually, I'm the only one that probably even cares to talk about it, but I'm the only one that I will authorize to talk about it. So I kind of got it.
So I've come to the right guy to get the story, huh?
You came to the horse's mouth. That's right. So we showed up. I took my giant motorhome out here from Utah to Kansas. And I brought a few people along with me. And other people were flying in. Other people were driving in. We just thought, let's get to this place. And the way that we got this story was I had a good friend that knew the chief of the Quapaw Nation in Oklahoma. And I really don't want to give out names, but you'll get the general idea of the story. So we go out there. I meet this friend, and he introduces me to the chief. And the chief says, I will give you access to certain properties where I think there is possible Jesse James KGC treasure. Because he was kind of a fanatic like I was about the KGC.
The chief was?
Yeah.
So he studied it, he knew about it, and he wanted help trying to figure out and locate it. And
yeah, he figured, hey, I'll bring in 30 people. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can figure it out. Because of course, if he had been able to figure it out by himself, he wouldn't be calling us for help.
So is this on a reservation, or is this private property, or it's...
It was not on a reservation. It was on his property, his mother's property, another relative's property, but it encompassed quite a few acres. And so we get down to Baxter Springs. We're actually going to what's called the Baxter Well. And anybody that knows anything about the KGC, they can do research on it. Just type in Baxter Well plus KGC. You'll probably see a couple of stories, probably a couple written by me. But the Baxter Well was just one depository of the KGC. And Jesse James, at that time, supposedly was the comptroller. He was the money man that he All money that got robbed, trains, banks, whatever got robbed, went through Jesse James. He distributed them to hiding areas, and then they hired sentinels in those areas. But the Baxter Well was, at that time, was in the Quapaw Nation territory. And we're talking probably, I don't know a year, because if I knew all the information, I would have already found the treasure. I'm just going to say about the time of the Civil War. The Baxter Well story states that a well was dug 33 feet deep, lined with rocks, a locust tree on each side. And the reason why they picked a locust tree is because those aren't indigenous to Oklahoma. So if you come across a tree that you've never seen before, you're going to say, something's going on here. There's a tree here, tree here. Oh, there's a well right in the middle. What's up with that? So that was the story. We found the well. Actually, the chief took us to the well. He had already done that much work. Showed us the 2 locust trees, which were the markers. And then he said, there's supposed to be treasure in this well or around this well. Well, KGC in a nutshell, if you find a site where you think there's treasure, go up 33 feet, draw a circle. Go around 33 feet, then go out to 66 feet, draw a bigger circle, and then start scanning with your detector those lines. Well, we started at the 33-foot mark. We found 8 buried metal clues. We didn't know what the heck they meant at that time. I mean, I'm still learning. But there was no way possible that there would be 8 things buried as a 33 mark around a well that somebody just dropped off their wagon. They were put there.
So let me ask you this real quick. Do you think that they're put, on compass points or something? Because back then they didn't have metal detectors, so how are they going to know that,
I understand what your question is. They didn't have metal detectors, excuse me, but a lot of people that were in the KGC were surveyors.
So they did go off of a degree, off of a compass point, and
Yes.
and planted items on that compass,
Right.
Around the circle,
33
foot out.
66.
Okay.
Actually, it goes for miles.
Okay.
You go out many, many miles, and if you know what you're looking for, you know you have the secret. You know the degrees. You're a surveyor. You can find all this stuff. Well, we just thought, hey, let's go 33 feet. All right, send a couple guys around detectors. And of course, our orders were, when you get a signal, stake it until we find 8 around this circle. Because there's going to be 8 at the 33 mark usually. And at the 66 mark, it's a bigger circle. You might have 16. So we were afraid some of these guys would be so anxious that if they got a signal that they would dig it up.
Mm-hmm.
And not remember what direction it was pointing in, whether the shovel head was pointed down or was it open. I mean, we just wanted to make sure.
So it mattered, the way things are buried, it mattered.
Right.
Okay.
An axe head, was it pointing north, south, east, west? The shovel head, what was that? The horseshoe, what direction was it, the open part toward? I mean, we documented everything. So we found the clues at the 33-foot mark. We found a lot of clues at the 66-foot mark around, but we don't think we found them all. But we had guys that maybe weren't quite qualified enough to be running a metal detector. Again, we had 31 guys out there, and I'm trying to run this 3-ring circus, trying to keep track of where everybody was.
It's a lot of people trying to keep track of.
I'm juggling. Yeah, I'm a 3-ball juggler, but I was doing 5 balls that day. So it's like some people disturbed some clues or just scanned over it without their metal detector beeping. They said, "Oh, nothing there." Well, if I would have went back around, I might have found it. But we had fun. The chief and the guy that brought us out there, and I can mention his name. I think his family would want his name known. It was John Papura, and a lot of you know him as Cosmo Wolf on the forums. Well, he died not too far back, and I'm wanting to get all his KGC stuff from his family, but they haven't gave it to me yet. So, but that guy was the most knowledgeable guy on the KGC. So we were there for a week. Now, also on that property, eventually we lured a guy down in the well, because one of the stories I had was that the KGC had lined this well with fieldstone, but every once in a while they would shove in a gold brick or a silver ingot. So we thought, we're going to lower a guy down into the well with a metal detector and just have him scan the walls as he goes down. Well, nothing showed up. Either it was never there or somebody had already recovered it. But interesting enough, the guy that went down in the well found a side tunnel going off of the well, which didn't make sense at all. I mean, if you have a well, you want all your water to stay in this column, but there was a tunnel. He went in so far, but it had collapsed. But
how far are you thinking? 5 feet, 10 feet,
no,
50 feet?
I'm thinking like 25 feet.
25 feet?
But we had a direction. I mean, once he came up, he had his bearings about him. He said, well, the tunnel was going that way. Well, the tunnel was heading towards the chief's mother's house, which was just across the road. And so he said, they said there used to be tunnels underneath their houses, and they never thought anything of it. So we got all excited, so we brought GPR equipment, and we started looking for voids. We found a couple of them. We sent a couple of guys down, never found anything. They just kind of dead-ended. It's like they weren't collapsed, they just maybe were used as storage at one time. And then at the south end, south of the well, there was a old blacksmith shop. And supposedly Jesse James, Frank James, the Anderson brothers, a lot of the guys that were terrorizing the countryside, that was a good place for them to hang out. They could come there and get their horses shod again. They could get a new horse, a fresh horse, if they were on the run. We found all kinds of metal stuff around that livery stable area, but nothing that we think was directed towards treasure. I think it was just junk from a livery stable. So then there was a cemetery, and the chief said, I think you ought to go up by the cemetery, but you can't do any digging because it's sacred ground. But there's a big hole in the ground that you might be interested in. So heck, I'm there like chicken on a worm. So we go up there. We're looking down there. We're throwing rocks down. I mean, we're in the middle of a cemetery. There's a big old honking hole, and we're thinking, how come all these graves haven't collapsed into it? But it was an underground cavern, and we put somebody down in there. They looked around, and for like 2 hours, we didn't hear from the guy. He unhooked himself from the rope, so we're pulling up the rope empty. It's like, what? Dropping the rope down. Back then, we didn't have telephones or walkie-talkies or anything. We weren't that good. So we're thinking, he better come to the bottom of the hole and start yelling for help, or just grab the rope.
So you're trying to yell down to him and communicate with him, and nothing.
And we could hear the echo. No, he just didn't answer.
Well, I know I've been in caves and had people yelling at me, and you get down there and you don't hear the sound.
Yeah,
so.
And I have been too. Well, finally he come up. Of course, he claimed, no, I didn't find anything. But I hate to say this about some of my fellow treasure hunters, but you always wonder in the back of your mind,
Yeah.
did he find a stash, come up and say, no, there ain't nothing there, and then he comes back 2 weeks later when he knows you're back in Utah and makes a recovery. But I hate to think that of people.
Right. So did he relay anything to you about? Did it look natural? Did it look man-made? Did it look? How big was it? Was there tunnels off it?
It was only, when he came up, to the best of his ability, he said, where these headstones are, the ceiling of the cavern is about like 25 to 30 feet below that, but it goes way beyond the cemetery. It's big. And he goes, I found fire rings in there and horse dung.
So there's got to be a tunnel, an entrance into there.
Yeah. So we asked Chief, I said, how would they have got horses down there? And he goes, they might have entered a mile over there through a tunnel. He said, I don't know. He said, I've never been down there. He says, I don't like it. No, he was kind of not spooked. I mean, he was a strong guy. He's just like, no, I just have no desire to go down in that hole. He says, but they could have had horses down there. They could have had a corral. They could have had a livery stable down there. He said, I don't know. So
nothing was passed down to him from.
No,
that property had been in the family for a lot of years, and nothing was passed down.
Well, that particular cemetery was on, his mother's property, and he had property. This was another relative's property, and we had to get his permission, and he had to be there when we came to the cemetery because it was his family's cemetery. And he didn't have a clue. I mean, he had inherited it. He didn't know any history. He just wanted to make sure he was there for his cut. When we dug up the treasure.
Right.
But another funny story. We had a guy that flew in from New York, and he called me. Don't remember. He must have called me through the switchboard at the hotel. Hey, Floyd, can you come pick me up at the airport? I go, yeah. Which airport? He goes, I'm in Miami. I go, Miami, Florida? He goes, no, it's Miami, Oklahoma. I said, I didn't even know they had an airport. He goes, yeah, I flew in. He says, I don't know how to get to Baxter Springs. And I said, I just got here myself. I haven't unloaded my motorhome. I haven't put everybody in the rooms yet. I haven't paid all the bills yet. I said, this is kind of inconvenient, but there's nobody else who's going to come pick your butt up, so I guess it's me. So I went and picked the dude up, and we're driving back, and he goes, yeah, I bought this one-way ticket from New York. I go, one way? He goes, well, yeah. I said, well, how are you getting back to New York? Well, out of my cut, I'm buying a new pickup, and I'm driving my gold bars back to New York. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, are you serious? I invited you here? I gotta thin the herd a little bit here. So he goes, well, what? And I go, dude, what if we don't find anything? How are you getting home? Well, I don't know. I guess I got a week to figure that out. So anyway, people put a lot of faith in me. Sorry I let you down, dude. No new pickup for you. No new pickup for me either. We failed. That's another one of my failed stories. I'm only going to tell you my failed stories.
There's a lot of...
I got a lot of failed ones.
You got to go through a lot of failed stories.
Yeah, I've done a lot of empty holes. But anyway, that was a good hunt. Like I say, 31 guys. Some of them were off the wall, crazy. I mean, they would take off in the middle of the day, and we couldn't find them.
Wow.
They'd go out on their own. They were going on other people's properties.
Huh.
We wouldn't even see where their vehicles were parked in the woods. So it's like some of these people, they ditched us.
Huh.
They were on their own.
Huh.
I mean, they were going to cut us out if they found something. They had their own ideas of where there might be treasure.
Yeah.
So some of them wouldn't come back till after dark to the hotel. And of course, I'd be waving my finger at them like, You need to stay with the group. You need to know where everybody's at. I had a buddy of mine, Carl from Florida. He likes to stir the pot a little bit among the treasure hunters. He still does. But anyway, he started spreading a rumor. Yeah, whatever happened to those gold coins that Floyd found? People go, Floyd found gold coins? Yeah, he had a handful of them. What's our cut?
And then you got all kinds of nasty.
Oh, well, this was
emails,
after.
huh?
After I had already gone back to Utah, people were calling me like, "You thief! Yeah, you stole from us." I was like, "Dude," I said, "I know who started that story." And I tell them, they go, "Yeah, that's where I heard it." And he still yanks my chain to this day. He even posted the 2 different names on Facebook just to throw people off. So. But anyway, that's another failed treasure story from Floyd Mann.
Floyd, I appreciate you talking about your failures. Because we all got a lot of them.
Yeah, I got more than most of people do.
And that's a wrap.